So DC does have a lot of work in theater. DC has like the second largest theater market in the country, which is great. So there's a lot of work for actors in theater here. When it comes to television and film, there are a number of shows that come through. So Veep, House of Cards, those big shows that come through and film in the area. So you can expect to get work on those shows, but you'll get a lot of work here in theater or a lot of commercial work. There are a lot of local commercials that shoot also, so an actor can get a lot of work in commercials. A lot of production companies will shoot outside of DC because DC, it costs a lot to shut down Georgetown. It costs a lot to film at the U.S. Capitol. The permitting, certain tax incentives that are not in DC that you'll find elsewhere. So Homeland, for instance, was shot down in Richmond, but set in DC. And Richmond has lots of spots that look very similar to DC, so it's a lot easier to shoot down there. Living in DC, you can work outside of the area. We're a stone's throw away from Philadelphia, Atlanta, New York. We can easily get to these other markets. I myself, I've shot down in Richmond a number of times, Hampton, Virginia, that area has a lot of work. It's easy to get work. As long as you're listed in these other agencies' files, you'll get called in for those projects. I think the hotspots right now for actors would be Atlanta. New Orleans also has a very huge film scene that's developed down there. Philadelphia. There's so many hotspots now besides New York and LA. I think the myth most actors when they're starting out is I have to get to New York or LA. If you do take that route, you're gonna go into a market where you are one of 500,000 actors that also say, I need to get to New York or LA. The beauty of being in DC is that you can travel easily to these other markets and be, based in DC. So I think when it comes to acting on the East Coast versus the West Coast, you can easily make your way up and down the coast to find these other beds, these hot pockets of film. Film production companies also realize it's a lot cheaper to shoot outside of LA or New York. It's easier to go to, somewhere in West Virginia, down to New Orleans, down to Atlanta or outside the Atlanta region to shoot. So it's easy to find the work here on the East Coast as well without making the trek to the West Coast.
Ryan Davis Limited, video made well. Ryan Davis Ltd.com